The heat in Lagos that morning felt different. Not the kind that made you sweat, but the kind that made you nervous. Isioma's palms were damp as she adjusted the collar of her thrifted blouse and stared at the giant gold sign that read, Bloomfield International School. This was no ordinary school. It was the kind that politicians' children attended, where drivers waited in tinted cars and mothers arrived in perfume clouds. She almost turned back, a small-town girl with a borrowed handbag, walking into a world that wasn't hers. Inside, the scent of air conditioning and expensive polish replaced the chaos outside. The receptionist's English was clipped and perfect. "You're the new literature teacher?" she asked with an eyebrow that said you don't look the part. Isioma nodded and was handed a lanyard and a warning. "Mrs. Adana Tund might want to see you later. She owns half of this place." The name stuck. Adana Tund. Everyone at Bloomfield spoke it with the same mix of admiration and fear, like she was royalty. Classes went smoothly until the final bell rang and a black Lexus pulled up by the window. The driver stepped out, opened the back door, and out came a woman who could have stepped out of a fashion magazine. Tall, graceful, skin like burnished gold, eyes that studied and commanded all at once. "Miss Isioma," she said, her voice calm but sharp. "I'm Adana. I wanted to personally welcome you." Isioma froze. Adana smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. "You have a gift with children. My daughter won't stop talking about you. You must come for dinner tonight. We don't often meet people who make her this excited." It wasn't a request. That evening, Isioma stood before a mansion that looked like a movie set. Marble steps, warm lights, guards everywhere. Inside, laughter echoed faintly, but the house felt too quiet for a home. And then she saw him. By the grand piano, pouring himself a glass of red wine, stood a man in a simple white shirt. No jewelry, no arrogance, just presence. He looked up and their eyes met. Something shifted inside her, something that scared her. "Isioma, meet my husband." Adana's voice broke through. "Tund." He extended a hand, slow and deliberate. "Welcome," he said softly, but his gaze lingered too long. His smile too gentle, like he was greeting someone he shouldn't have wanted to meet. And for reasons she couldn't explain, Isioma's heart skipped, not in fear, but in forbidden curiosity. The dining room was all glass and silence. Crystal chandeliers glimmered above a long mahogany table that could seat 20, yet only 3 plates were set. One for Adana, one for her husband, and one for Isioma. Adana sat at the head like a queen on her throne, dressed in a silk gown that whispered against her skin each time she moved. Tund sat beside her, eyes lowered, swirling his wine like a man counting seconds. Isioma felt out of place in her simple floral dress, knees pressed tightly together under the table. "So, Isioma," Adana began, her tone playful yet probing. "You're not married?" Isioma shook her head. "No, ma. I'm focused on work for now." Adana smiled faintly. Focused women often forget to live. Her eyes flicked to her husband. "Don't you think so, darling?" Tund looked up briefly, his gaze meeting Isioma's again. Intense, wordless. "Sometimes work is easier than love," he said quietly. Adana laughed, but it sounded like glass cracking. "My husband enjoys pretending he's deep." They ate in heavy silence after that, every clink of the cutlery amplified. At one point, Adana's phone rang and she excused herself from the table. The moment she left, the air shifted. Tund finally spoke, his voice lower now. "You shouldn't let her intimidate you." Isioma blinked, unsure how to respond. "I wasn't intimidated, just surprised. She's powerful," he finished for her. "She likes being the most interesting person in every room." He said it without bitterness, just tired truth. Their eyes lingered on each other, long enough for Isioma to feel heat rise under her skin. When Adana returned, her smile was back, sharper this time. "Isioma, dear, our daughter absolutely adores you. I'd like you to tutor her privately. 2 evenings a week here at home. I'll pay generously." Isioma hesitated. Something about the offer felt too personal, too calculated. But Tund's voice came softly across the table. You should say yes. Their eyes met again, and in that instant, she knew she was already trapped, not by Adana's charm, but by the quiet danger in her husband's eyes. The mansion looked different at night. Quieter. Shadows stretched long across the marble floor, and the air carried that faint expensive perfume that clung to Adana's presence even when she wasn't home. Isioma arrived for her first tutoring session, clutching her lesson notes like a lifeline. The housekeeper led her to a glass-walled study where little Kamsi sat cross-legged on a velvet chair, bright-eyed and talkative. For the first hour, everything was normal, until Kamsi yawned dramatically and announced, "Daddy said you're prettier in person." Isioma froze. "Your daddy said that?" Kamsi nodded innocently. "He said you have kind eyes, not like mummies." Her laughter faltered when the door opened and Tun stepped in, sleeves rolled up, holding 2 cups of tea. "Break time," he said, placing 1 cup before her. The room went still. Adana had mentioned she'd be away on a business trip that night. The realization hit Isioma like a spark to dry wood. It was just the 2 of them now, and the silence was alive. Tund leaned against the desk, watching Kamsi flip through her notebook. His presence filled the space effortlessly. Calm, masculine, magnetic. "She learns faster when you're around," he said softly. "She trusts you." "And you?" Isioma asked before she could stop herself. "Do you trust me?" He smiled faintly, his gaze holding hers. "I shouldn't." Kamsi eventually dozed off on the couch, her workbook still open. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It pulsed, heavy with something unsaid. When Isioma stood to leave, Tund reached out instinctively and stopped her by the wrist. The contact was brief but electric. Her breath caught, her heart betraying her calm. "Good night, Mr. Tund," she whispered. "Good night, Isioma," he replied, her name rolling off his tongue like a secret he wasn't supposed to say. As she stepped outside into the night, the wind brushed her face, but it couldn't cool the heat that had bloomed beneath her skin. She knew something dangerous had begun, and that she would not be able to stop it. The next evening the rain came heavy, the kind that silences the whole city. Adana had traveled again, and Isioma found herself alone in the mansion once more, tutoring Kamsi by candlelight when the power flickered out. Tund appeared in the doorway, holding a flashlight, his shirt damp from the storm. "Generator's acting up," he said, his voice a quiet rumble under the rain's rhythm. "Stay here until it's fixed. It's not safe to drive in this weather." Her throat went dry. "It's fine, I can call a cab." He cut her off gently. "You can't." His tone wasn't commanding but final. He stepped closer, placing the flashlight on the table. The faint golden glow made his face look carved, almost unreal. The air between them thickened, heavy with every word left unsaid over the past weeks. "Adana trusts you," he said slowly. "She doesn't trust anyone." "Should she?" Isioma whispered before she could stop herself. He gave a small, sad smile. "No." Lightning flashed outside, and for a moment, their faces were illuminated. Hers trembling with confusion, his filled with a hunger he could no longer disguise. When he reached out, she didn't move away. His hand brushed her cheek, tentative at first, then certain. The warmth of his touch burned through her restraint. Her pulse roared louder than the thunder outside. "Tund," she breathed. "This is wrong." "I know." His lips met hers before she could speak again. Soft at first, then desperate, as if both had been waiting for this mistake to happen. The kiss tasted of guilt, rain, and everything they couldn't have. When it broke, she stepped back, breath shaking. "I shouldn't have." He caught her hand. "You think I haven't fought this?" he said, voice low, almost pleading. "I live with a woman who knows my every move, every breath. But when you walk in, I feel." He stopped, as if the truth itself would betray them. Isioma pulled free, heart hammering. "Then stop feeling it." She left before he could speak again, her tears hidden in the rain. But as she reached her car, she knew something terrifying. It wasn't regret that filled her chest. It was longing. And the next morning when Adana's voice came through the phone, calm, composed, almost smiling, saying, "I hope you got home safe last night, Isioma. I heard the rain was quite intense." Her blood went cold. Isioma barely slept that night. Adana's voice echoed in her head. Calm, polite, but heavy with something else. How did she know? At the school the next morning, everything felt off. A driver waited for her outside the gate with a message. "Madam Adana said you forgot your earring last night." Isioma froze. She hadn't worn earrings. By evening, curiosity and fear pulled her back to the mansion. Adana greeted her like an old friend, all smiles and soft laughter. "You've been avoiding me," she said, pouring Isioma a glass of red wine. "Don't tell me you're shy now." The study felt colder than usual. Adana sat on the edge of her desk, her movements deliberate, feline. "You like my husband, don't you?" she asked suddenly, her tone light but her eyes sharp. Isioma choked on her drink. "Madam, I..." Adana laughed, not cruelly, but like someone amused by a secret already confirmed. "Relax, my dear. You're not the first." That sentence sank like ice into Isioma's veins. Adana stood, gliding toward her. "Do you know what I admire most about women like you? You make men feel alive again." Briefly. She smiled, brushing invisible dust from Isioma's shoulder. "Tund needs that sometimes." The words twisted something deep inside her. Disgust, shame, and pity tangled together. "You knew." "Of course I knew." Adana gestured toward the corner of the room. "This house watches everything." Isioma followed her gaze. And then she saw it. The faint glint of a camera hidden in the lamp's base. Her stomach dropped. Adana turned back to her, eyes gleaming. "You're beautiful on camera, Isioma. Even your guilt looks poetic." Isioma felt the room spin. "You're sick," she whispered. Adana only smiled wider. "No, darling. I'm awake. I just like to study people. To see what love makes them do when they think no one is watching." That night Isioma drove home shaking. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Tund, leave the house. Don't go back there again. She's not what she seems." But the next line made her blood freeze. "Tund, she showed me the video." Isioma didn't know what fear truly felt like until that night. The video, whatever Adana had shown Tund, hung between them like a ghost. She deleted his message, but the image of her lips on his replayed in her mind over and over. For days she avoided the mansion. She told herself it was over, that she would quit the tutoring job and disappear before Adana decided to ruin her. But the school called. Kamsi had refused every other teacher. "She keeps crying for you," the principal said. "Madam Adana insists you come back." When Isioma arrived, Adana was already waiting in the study, dressed in a white silk robe, her eyes soft but unreadable. "You didn't answer my calls," she said. "I was worried." "I'm sorry," Isioma murmured. Adana gestured toward the wine glasses on the table. "Then stay a little while. Let's talk, woman to woman." Isioma hesitated but sat. The wine was dark and sweet, the air thick with Adana's perfume. "You see," Adana began, her voice calm, almost tender, "I married Tund because I wanted to understand power. Real power. The kind that doesn't shout but still owns every breath around it." Isioma's pulse quickened. "You love him." Adana smiled faintly. "Love. I study him. Like I study you." She leaned closer. "Tell me, did he touch you because he couldn't resist, or because he knew I was watching?" The glass nearly slipped from Isioma's hand. "You're insane." Adana chuckled softly. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm simply awake to the truth. People don't fall in love, they fall into patterns. He's had 5 before you. I pick them, he breaks them, and then we begin again." 5. Isioma whispered. Adana's smile widened. "You're my favorite though. You make him hesitate. You make him hope." That moment the door opened. Tund stood there, pale, eyes hollow. "Enough, Adana." Her expression didn't change. "Why?" She deserves to know she's part of the experiment. Isioma stared at them both, her heart breaking in slow motion. You used me. Tun's lips parted, pain flashing across his face. I didn't mean to. But Adana interrupted softly, her tone chillingly calm. Oh, he did. Just like every other time. The question, Isioma, is, how far will you go for him now that you know? She turned, gliding out of the room. Tun took a step forward, trembling. I'm not her prisoner. Not anymore. Please come with me tonight. We can run before she finds out what I've planned. Isioma looked at him, torn between love and the haunting suspicion that she was walking straight into another trap. That night, the world outside Bloomfield Estate was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of stillness that came before a storm. Isioma waited by the old fountain near the gates, clutching her small bag. Her hands trembled, not from fear this time, but from the weight of not knowing whom to trust anymore. Tund had said he would meet her there at midnight. He'd whispered through the crack of her car window earlier, pack light. We'll drive. Once we're out, we'll never come back. She replayed those words again and again, trying to believe them. But every time she closed her eyes, Adana's smile returned, slow, knowing, patient. Headlights appeared in the distance. A sleek black SUV glided toward her, stopping inches away. The driver's window rolled down. She leaned forward, relief flooding her chest. Tund. But the voice that came wasn't his. Get in, Adana said softly. Isioma froze. Her pulse thundered in her ears. Where's Tund? Adana tilted her head, her calmness more terrifying than anger. You really thought he would come? She asked. Sweetheart, men like Tund don't run away. They hide. And when they do, I always find them first. Isioma's breath caught. You're lying. Am I? Adana's lips curved slightly. You see, my dear, you're not the first woman who thought she could save him. He said the same things to them too. Backlight. Wait for me. Isioma stepped back, but Adana's driver opened the back door with a polite nod. Get in, Miss Isioma. Madam insists. Where are you taking me? She whispered. Adana's gaze softened, almost motherly. To the truth. She hesitated only a second too long. A sharp sting pricked her neck, the driver's hand. The world blurred. Through the fog of her fading vision, Isioma saw Adana watching her with cold fascination. Don't worry, she murmured. You'll wake up soon. My husband will be there. He always is. Darkness swallowed her. When Isioma's eyes fluttered open, the air was thick with the scent of dust and chemicals. The room was dimly lit, walls lined with monitors showing flickering black and white footage. Every corner of the Tund mansion, every hallway, every secret space. She tried to move. Her wrists ached, tied to a cold metal chair. Panic rushed through her chest as she realized where she was. A basement, but not just any basement. This was a hidden room beneath the mansion. And then she saw them. Adana stood in front of the monitors, her white robe glowing faintly under the fluorescent light. Beside her, silent and expressionless, stood Tund. Welcome back, Adana said smoothly, her tone almost kind. You sleep like a child. Peaceful, trusting, even now. Let me go, Isioma hissed, pulling at the ropes. Please. Adana tilted her head, studying her like a specimen. Do you know what fascinates me about love, Isioma? It survives everything, even humiliation, even fear. I wanted to see if yours would. She pressed a button. One of the screens flickered, showing recordings, women. Other women. In the same chair. Crying. Begging. Some whispering Tund's name like a prayer. Isioma's heart pounded. What is this? Tund finally spoke, his voice hollow. She makes me do it. Every few years. She finds someone new. Someone kind, someone pure. And she watches. Liar, Adana snapped, but there was no rage in it, only weariness. He plays the victim so well, doesn't he? She turned to Isioma, her expression softening almost pityingly. He's not a captive, my dear. He's addicted. Tun's fists clenched. Stop it. Adana walked closer to Isioma, crouching so their faces met. Do you know what he told me after your little kiss? She whispered. He said you made him feel human again. Do you think that's new? Every single one says that. You were never different. Just another chapter. Isioma's tears burned as they fell. Why me? Adana smiled sadly. Because you remind me of who I was before I learned that love is just control wearing perfume. She stood and looked toward Tund. Finish it. Tund stepped forward slowly. His eyes met Isioma's, full of something broken, something pleading. I'm sorry, he whispered. If I fight her, she'll destroy you. Then let her. Isioma cried. Don't become her. For a moment he froze, trembling, jaw tight. Then he turned sharply and slammed his hand against the control panel. Sparks flew. The lights flickered out. Adana screamed his name, fury piercing the dark. When the emergency lights snapped back on, the chair was empty. The screen showed a door swinging open and a lone figure, Isioma, running barefoot into the night. Adana's breathing steadied. Her lips curved. She'll come back, she murmured. Tund stared at her, shaking. Why would she ever? Because curiosity, Adana whispered, stepping closer, is stronger than fear. They always come back to see if love was real. Her smile deepened as the screen glowed again, showing Isioma standing outside the mansion gates, drenched in tears, staring back.